Hey guys, it's Kelsey. I'm back with another scrapbooking process video. Today we have the Scrap 5 Challenge Hop. So we had to use stitching, a punch or a die, something old from your stash, 2 photos, and a long title on this layout. So that's a super fun combination for me. I already had 2 photos I had been wanting to use. And the biggest thing for me was trying to pull something old from my stash into this new collection I've been using this month. But then I realized before I started using this collection, I had mentioned about how one of my oldest collections that I had was very similar in color story to this one. So I did end up pulling a little baggie of scraps from that collection into this one. And I think it worked out pretty well. So that's kind of how I got that all put together. But I'm going to start by just getting my 12 by 12 together. I really wanted to use this very florally background. I really thought the colors went well with the photo. The beach here in the photos is very golden sand, and so I thought this yellow matched really well. You also can see the mountains in the top photo, which has this really deep green color, so I thought that was also a really good match. I knew I wanted to pull more of that golden yellow color into this collection. I still had a 6x8 paper of that, so I'm planning on making that a big band across the page, so I'm just gutting from what's going to be behind there. You can see between the photos and that 6x8 there's a huge chunk of that pattern paper that was going to be covered, so I did just gut that little strip to hold on for another page. But after I get all this glued down, I have my 12 by 12 together, and then I can start building out with embellishment. This is pretty much where the pattern paper layers are, and then from here, after I get these photos down, I just want to build out my little embellishment clusters. So far I really just have my 2 pictures down from the list. So I definitely need to pull in some other things. I'm thinking about fussy cutting this circular element from a cut apart because it's that same floral design of the background. I thought that would be a really nice way to pull that design into the center of the page. But then I realized I had all of these cut aparts I hadn't touched yet with this floral leafy design on white. And so I thought it'd be a nice way to start pulling that in on pages because I haven't really touched that yet all month, and there's a lot of different cut aparts and embellishments with that design on it, so I wanted to get a few of those on this page since I hadn't used them yet. I had one last big floral die cut as well I kept hemming and hawing about getting on this page, but in the end I decided to save that for another layout because it was kind of clashing with the floral designs I already was trying to use. So I'll end up just sticking more with this white floral pattern instead. So I have that one cut apart coming from the top of the photos. I like how that's starting to build upwards. Here you can see my scraps of the cut aparts I have left over from my peachy evergreen collection from Die Cuts with a View. I'm going to go ahead and take a corner rounder and round these corners just to make a little bit more of a decorative edge for that detail. I just took one of these square cut apart pieces, cut it into 2 pieces, rounded the corners, and those are going to go in 2 different sections. I thought that peachy pink color matched the pink that's in the background paper really well, so I liked that drew that pink out a little bit more. So yeah, that's what I'm going with. So to me, I already have my something old from my stash. I'll end up pulling in a few other bits and pieces of scraps from that collection as well. But I'm glad I got some of that peachy evergreen on this page with One Canoe Two Willow because I do think those 2 collections coordinate really well together. So I'm going to go ahead and glue down what I had down. I did cut that cut apart card into 2 pieces so I could stretch it down to the bottom of the photos as well. So I like that pattern is on the top and the bottom. I thought about doing the same thing to this little cut apart piece, but in the end I really wanted to build out to the side here with that one cut apart piece with that floral design that says some old-fashioned things like fresh air and sunshine are hard to beat. Also thought that was super appropriate for this page because we're out by the beach. But once I decided that was going to branch out of the photos to the left here, I really felt like it would be better design-wise to layer up those elements there instead of on the bottom of the page. And then here I am with another punch. Just decided to add another white detail on the bottom of this page. Just because I thought it needed a little something more. It was just kind of plain how it was. So I took a scrap of white, used another punch there to create this little scallopy border. And I'm just going to tuck that up under this yellow pattern paper running behind the photos just to give you a little additional decorative edge. And it just added a little bit more white because the white right now, to me at least, it looks a little bit out of place. There's not enough of it, even though I'm trying to balance this pattern around the page. So adding that little detail of that pop of white kind of helps that make more sense as well. So I'm going to tuck it really far up under that paper to where you really only see that last scallop detail. I thought that was just enough to add a little bit of interest. So there is that. So far I have my punch from the list. I used some old stuff from my stash. I got my 2 photos, so I still need to do a long title. I'm kind of down on my thicker sheet. You can see I spelled out a few words I saw right away. So I have living and I have lucky I can spell. So thinking about a title, I could use both of those. But obviously I needed another alphabet that had a lot of letters to create a long title. So I pulled in a fresh set of tile stickers from Freckle Fawn. These are gold on white, and I love this font. It's so sweet. But I knew I had a lot of alphas to work with to create a longer title. So I just tried to create something that used either living or lucky. And in the end, I found, I just decided to do today, I am living my best life. So I thought that was appropriate. For some context, these photos are from Oahu, Hawaii. This is our last day here before we came back home. And we had not been in the ocean yet this trip. So I'm like, you can't go to Hawaii and like not go in the ocean at all. Because this trip, we had a lot of different adventure things, but it was like in the island. Like we did horseback riding, we went whale watching, rainforest tour, that kind of thing, but we didn't get to go swimming in the ocean yet. The sea was actually really rough this year when we went and visited, so you couldn't really swim out too far just because the rip current was really, really strong this visit. So, but we did get to go in a little bit. You can see that bottom photo. We brought the snorkels thinking we were going to get to swim a little bit more. But after we went into the shallows, we're like, yeah, there's no way that we're going to be able to go in pretty much past your waist because the current was just way too strong. But it was really fun. And I'm glad we actually got in the water before we got to leave. So yeah, that's kind of the gist of this one. I have a different page that I had already done about the last day and kind of details. I didn't feel like I needed to do any journaling, but I did want to get these photos documented just because I thought they were gorgeous with the sand and the ocean and the mountains. And we were the only ones there, which is really nice. This is on North Shore, Oahu, which is where my brother lives. And so there's not a huge population. It's not touristy at all. So it's really nice when we get to go to the beach around his house just because it feels like you're there by yourself, which is really nice. Here you can see I decided to get another pop of the foil from the collection on here using that little scrap. So I pulled in another punch of just a scallopy circle to add a little bit of a layered detail. And now I'm just finishing up with some mustardy enamel shapes. I wanted to get some hearts and enamel dots on here. And I wanted to pull more of that rich yellow out since there's a lot of green going on here. I kind of pulled out the white and the pink a little more. So I wanted a couple more pops of yellow as well. So I have 3 little clusters there with a heart and 2 dots. And then I think the last thing I'm going to do, I do want to pull in some word stickers from... do I do that yet? No, I have to do my stitching still. Yes, I hadn't stitched yet. I wasn't quite sure how I was going to pull in stitching, so I was waiting till the end because I knew I could do that as a finishing detail wherever I felt like I needed it most. And in the end, I just decided to mimic this scallopy border that was white going across the bottom of the page and accentuate it by doing a back stitch with white thread across the horizontal as well. So I'm just piercing my holes at 1/4 of an inch apart. And I'm just going to take some white thread and back stitch really quick. So you see a little bit of it, and then I'll cut out most of it of this process video. For anyone who doesn't know how to back stitch, I did have a live a couple months ago that's still on my channel if you want to watch it. I show how to back stitch, chain stitch. There's a couple other stitches I showed, cross stitch. Because I know a couple people whenever I stitch kind of ask to show that in a little bit more detail, so there is a video about that on my channel. I'm definitely not a pro at stitching. I just kind of did the stitches that I do know or that I do frequently, so hopefully that will be helpful. But as you can see, I'm just tying it off on the back. I'm going to cover it with some washi tape, and then I will do that on the other side as well. I was being lazy and didn't want to cut a piece of thread, so it takes me a while to do this because I have a really long piece of thread that kept getting knotted. But I'm even stingy with my thread, even though thread's really not that expensive. I don't want to cut a piece in the wrong size and either need to cut more or have an awkward piece left over, so I just decided to use the whole thing. But yeah, so back stitching is done. I think that's a nice little detail. It wasn't really needed, but it was on the inspiration list, so I like that I got it on there. And now you can see I have my sticker book, and I'm just pulling out the kind of tan taupey color and some yellow. You don't really see that taupey color really well, but that is the color of the floral. I keep saying the floral is kind of on white, but it's really more of this kind of gray tan color, so I thought using those stickers could kind of pull that in a little more. But I'm going to pop 2 in each cluster. The top one says sunshine and enjoy today. The other one says I love today. I thought that both of those were appropriate. So here are the close-ups. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you check the description out. I will link everybody who's playing along. Feel free to play along yourself and tag us on Instagram, #Scrap5.